Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the webinar on PhD and postdoc opportunities in the EU with focus on Hungary and Ireland, brought to you by EURAXESS Australia and New Zealand in collaboration with the Trade and Consular Office of Hungary and the Embassy of Ireland, Canberra. First of all, please allow me to introduce to you two esteemed guest speakers for today. We have joining us from Budapest, Dr. István Szabó, Vice President for Science and International Affairs at the National Research, Development and Innovation Office. We also have with us Ms. Harriet Morel, Second Secretary at the Embassy of Ireland, Canberra. And I'm Nishan Sandile, Regional Representative for EURAXESS Australia and New Zealand. For those who have joined our webinar for the first time, EURAXESS is an initiative of the European Commission that addresses barriers to the mobility of researchers and seeks to enhance scientific collaboration between Europe and the rest of the world. We provide free information about European research, career opportunities, international collaboration, and networking possibilities. Since all of you are watching this on your laptop or phone, I will encourage you to type EURAXESS Australia and New Zealand on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook and follow us there. We try to bring relevant news and events on a timely and regular basis. Moving on to today's session, just to give you a running order, we will go alphabetically, hence first Hungary and then Ireland. I'd like to encourage all of you to please use the chat function in the interface to ask any question that you might have while our speakers are presenting. Once both the presentations are done, we will come back to you to take your questions. Please note that the recording and the slides of the session will be provided to you. The recording will not include the Q&A, and hence I will recommend you to stay for the entire duration if you want our experts to address the common queries that applicants have. Now, before we move to the first presentation, let's do a brief exercise. A poll will appear on your screen right now. It's a trivia. Let me just launch the poll so that everyone will have it on your screen. You should be having the poll on your screen. It says how many research job announcements are currently on the EURAXESS portal for Hungary and Ireland. So you have four options: less than 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 75, and more than 75. I'll give you around 10 seconds so that all of you can put in your responses. I can see that around 35% have voted. I'll still give you 5 more seconds before closing the poll. I can see very interesting results coming in. Last 3 seconds before I close. 3, 2, 1, and close. So I'm closing the poll right now, and the minority of you have said more than 75. To be honest, the correct answer for this is it's the fourth option. To be precise, there are 134 job announcements. And please note that this means there are more positions available, as an announcement could be for multiple positions. So of course, this is something that I discussed about on the EURAXESS portal. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the first presentation of this session. Dr. Szabó, I'll now give you the presenter's right so that you can start sharing your screen.
So just a very brief introduction regarding Hungary, because there are Hungarians basically all over the world, but it's important to know where is this country located. So basically it's in Central Europe. It has a population of about 10 million people, and I'm pretty sure that many of you know Ireland actually better, but the colleague will talk more about it. And we have quite a famous people I selected basically, who actually traveled around Europe in a motorcycle, which would not be interested by itself, but this person was the inventor of the vitamin C, which I believe quite well-known vitamin, and actually was one of the first to be discovered basically. We try to bring the best scientists from around the world to Hungary, because we believe that there is no domestic science, but there is international science. And as you will see, all of our initiatives for Science Foundation are basically going towards this goal. We have a Ministry of Innovation and Technology, which was formed just 2 years ago. And it's very important that Hungary has quite ambitious goal in terms of we wish to achieve by 2030 to be one of the top 5 countries in Europe in terms of life quality, habitation, and work, which means that we set quite ambitious goals in front of us because we believe that in Hungary there is quite a niche regarding creativity and innovation, which could be very much used to be much more international and bring and attract international scientists as well. Our office, which I'm the vice president of, is located here, which is actually working closely with the Ministry of Innovation and Technology, but this is just for the organizational information. We have a system of national international programs, basically, which are, I will talk about this part actually, which goes for the individual researchers. We also have business sector research and innovation programs, and also academic sector research and innovation programs. What I wish to highlight here, that basically all of these programs are going towards international excellence. Maybe the quality of the picture is not the best, but I guess that you can see these lines here, that basically in the institutional level, we try to put together our strengths and the institution strengths to have their, I would say, comparative advantage, and thus they could appear in the international scene as major players from the institutional level to the national laboratories level, which I will speak a bit more of in the last part of the presentation. But again, the goal here is international science. For the business sector players, we also wish to see that in the Horizon Europe program, which is the research development and innovation framework program for Europe, more and more Hungarian SMEs and academic institutions are taking part, so that they should reach international excellence in this way. But coming back to the individual researchers grants, because I believe this is the most relevant and important point of this presentation, basically, what must be seen that we already have a program concept which basically covers the whole researcher's career path, meaning that in the framework of the new National Excellence Program, one gets funded even in the university years for conducting its early researcher activities. So I would say it's a gate towards being a scientist, actually. And we also have the so-called National Conference of Students Research, where these people can present their results in a competitive environment, meaning that they have to show their results, and basically they have their first responses from scientific part, how they did in their scientific activities. The next level of these young researcher paths is the basic research. The Hungarian basically it's the basic research funding for the individual scientists, is the so-called OTKA. And we also have the cooperative doctoral program, which is closely working with the industry partners, and which might be again highly relevant for you, is the so-called frontline or forefront research excellence program. But I will provide an introduction on these a bit more. Here you can see this this first part I showed in a bit of a much more in a system. You see that the new National Excellence Program basically covers the BSc, MSc, PhD, and early postdoc levels. And it also involves, for instance, the attracting of younger professors to higher education, to make sure that their current research results, which should be quite up to date and new, are included in the higher education institutes curricula as well. So it's again a very important program for us, having young researchers from also from Hungary, but also from abroad as well. In the framework of the OTKA programs which I mentioned, here is a sort of overlapping, but in a good way actually, in the PhD and postdoc careers, because we believe that supporting young researchers is basically the key to move forward. So all of those areas where we see that there are a certain number of young researchers are highly supported and encouraged to bring, because then they can have the critical mass of young scientists who can actually make an impact on an international level as well. At the same time, we believe that senior researchers who could be, I would say, school founders or could come from Hungary, but could come from abroad as well, are very important players for this system as well. For the doctoral studies, we basically have three main pillars. One of them is the, I would say, regular doctoral program where you apply to a doctoral school and you make your PhD in it. There is also the opportunity to finance your own studies basically in the PhD curricula. And just of this year we launched this cooperative doctoral fellowship program, which aim is basically to make doctoral studies in a way that it's highly relevant for the industrial partners, meaning that your topic should cover an issue which is important for the certain industrial partner, and this means that the doctoral student can have additional funding besides his or her salary, so that her or his studies can be supported again financially as well. And we believe that this could be a very nice way to actually bring the innovation level of small and medium enterprises to a greater level, because if there are qualified researchers available for this SME sector, then their competitiveness can be highly raised. The next level of financing, as I mentioned, is going for the postdocs. There are many programs in Hungary. There are certain university programs which are individual for each university. I would say they are tailor-made by the universities themselves. And the Hungarian Academy of Sciences also have a postdoc program, and also the so-called Momentum program, which is operated by the Hungarian Academy of Sciences as well, and also a research fellowship, János Bolyai. These grants are mostly available for those who wish to become academicians and already have made quite significant results in the certain scientific domains. So this goes, I would say, for the future academians. The two programs, the OTKA Excellence programs and the Forefront Excellence programs, are the ones for which our office, the National Research Development and Innovation Office, is responsible. And I would just provide you a very brief insight on it, because I didn't mention it, but I believe it's quite obvious that if you would have any question, then just feel free to contact me in the end of the presentation. You will have my email address as well, and really so please approach me quite openly. So I'm not the vice president so of course I'm a vice president, but still I'm there to help you. So that's our task. There are three levels of this OTKA program. One is for the postdoctoral excellence program, which is basically for those people who have a PhD acquired recently. I would say recently, that you already have a PhD for 3 years maybe, and you already have your first research results. Those are available for the postdoctoral fellows. To have such an OTKA grant, you basically have to have an affiliation with a Hungarian institute. So if you wish to build connections with Hungarian research institutes, so we can help you with that as well, because that basically provides you an entry point to these grant programs. The second level is the Young Researchers Excellence Program. It's I would say for those who already made significant results after their PhD has been awarded. I would say within 5 to 10 years after PhD. And there are the thematic research projects for those scientists who are also already capable of building a team around themselves, and maybe to have school founders as well. And in all these cases, it's true that all you have to have these grants is to have a Hungarian Institute affiliation. The fields of research are not limited, so basically you can come with any research projects. There are no restriction on which scientific branch or which disciplines should be studied or will be financed. These are the categories under which these research projects are labeled, I would say, when we have them. But these are not. I would say so. So this doesn't necessarily mean that you only can provide a grant for clinical medicine. You can make any kind of research in the medical and biological sciences, and after that your project will be evaluated by one of these juries actually. But there is also a possibility to ask for a multidisciplinary jury, which currently is quite a hot topic, because in many cases you have to see that there are no strong barriers, I would say, between the disciplines, but they are rather go multidisciplinary. What is a relatively new initiative? I would say relatively new is a 2 years initiative. Is the forefront or the frontline research program. Basically, in this program, we adopted the concept of the European Union's seal of excellence, meaning that if you have a research grant evaluated by an international forum, and a well-reputed international forum, in this case the ERC, but the European Research Council, or any other major international research council, and that forum had the result that the project was excellent, but it didn't receive funding because of no money. So basically, scientifically and on a professional level, the project was excellent, but it couldn't be funded because the lack of funds. Then you can come to our office, basically from all over the world. Again, you only have to have a Hungarian institutional affiliation in which we can help. And you only have to prove that your researcher group and the research is ready to be carried out, actually. So the researcher group didn't went, I don't know, the 10 people are not went to 10 places, but they can actually make, still can make this research. And then you can have a funding which is about 1 million euro. I would say, to translate it maybe to US dollars, it's about roughly the same amount, a bit more actually. And the project's duration is usually 60 months. And you see that since the number of funded projects is quite limited, so basically it's 9, is the most prestigious scientific grant for Hungary, and we believe that it's highly competitive in international level as well. Actually, in the Nature, we will we will also publish it so that to attract researchers worldwide. And I encourage you as well to take a look at this program. It will be launched in this November, actually, this year, so it will be open then. We are members in many international research infrastructures, which is very important, because if you wish to carry out research, it doesn't necessarily mean that you use just the Hungarian infrastructures, although we have excellent research infrastructures as well. But if you want to go one step higher, then you can make this through our international participations in these research infrastructures. Each of you can select, basically, these are for the physical sciences, for the medical and biological sciences, and also for the humanities. There are certain research infrastructures, and as you see, there are quite a few of them in which we are members, meaning that each of you can find, I believe, their respective infrastructure, which might be of interest for you as well. We also have a world-class research infrastructure in laser research. It's the so-called ELI, the extreme light infrastructure. It's located actually in 3 locations in Szeged, which is, if you take a look at the map in Hungary, here is Szeged. in Romania, and in the Czech Republic. Each of these infrastructures are have a different, I would say, different brand or a different different possibilities. In Hungary, it is the attosecond laser pulse, which is quite important. And we also provide funding for those who wish to travel to the use of research infrastructures. Actually, this is suspended due to the pandemic, but still, the possibility is there. So we hope that once this whole COVID thing will be lifted, then the travel restrictions won't apply again. And if you are thinking in for instance, in the Forefront program, then your colleagues can use this opportunity as well to make use of those research infrastructures I previously presented. We also have, just for curiosity, an innovation infrastructure as well for autonomous vehicle testing. It's the so-called Zalazon test track, which is important not just from the innovation side, but from the research side as well, because it's quite obvious that autonomous driving is not just innovation, but it includes heavy research and development. So if any one of you is interested again in topics which could be connected here, then you are more than welcome. And we have also, I mentioned that you have excellent infrastructures as well. I would just highlight our national laboratories, which have begun, which are launching this year actually. Here you can see, and you will see later on the slides, which will be available to you, that there are again many topics which are identified in Hungary, and these topics are in all cases put together all the strengths in Hungary in certain locations. So for instance, if you take this location in agricultural technology, this doesn't mean that you must work actually here. This means that all agricultural technology possibilities, human resources, and infrastructure are available through this contact point, because there are many other locations where they're conducting the similar RDA activities. But this is, I would say, the focal point of those activities. This would have been the very short presentation. I hope it wasn't too long. Out of curiosity again, I mentioned with the vitamin C. The other is a much more gadget. The Hungarian innovations, the Rubik's Cube. I'm pretty sure many of you know it. But more importantly, here is my email address. And again, feel free to contact me anytime. And I hope it was useful for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Szabó. I think it was a very clear presentation, and I'm sure our audience gained a lot of understanding on how the Hungarian research ecosystem works. Of course, now we move on to our second presentation, but before that, I'd encourage all of you to just use the questions functionality in the platform so that you could put any questions that we will take after Harriet has presented on Ireland. Now I'll move on to the second presentation for the session, and I'll give you the presenters right, Harriet, right now.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Okay, so good afternoon and welcome. Thanks very much to Nishan and to my Hungarian colleague. Big steps to follow, but I hope I'll do my best. Unlike my Hungarian colleague, my job in the embassy is primarily providing consular assistance to Irish citizens here in Australia. I manage the embassy social media profile, public and cultural diplomacy, and also work closely with the Irish community here in Australia. And after tonight, hopefully I can now include an expert on PhD and postdoc opportunities for study in Ireland. So, Céad Míle Fáilte, Tír an Léin agus na Lealúil. So 100,000 welcomes to the island of saints and scholars. And here's just a little video. I won't play it all, but just to give you an idea, for those of you that have never been to Ireland or unfamiliar with Ireland, we are 70 times smaller than Australia, just to put it into context. And hopefully, as I said, this will work. So it's an English-speaking country. After the UK have left the European Union, we're the only English-speaking country left. Our currency obviously is in Europe, and we're first. Our currency is the euro, and we're first in Europe for completion of third level. And we have a long tradition of excellence, academic excellence. When I said Céad Míle Fáilte, 100,000 welcomes to the island of saints and scholars, that's how we referred to in the Middle Ages. So our global research reputation. So we're internationally recognized research quality and rankings. You can see there on the PowerPoint presentation, we're first for immunology and animal and dairy. We're second for nanotechnology and second for agricultural services. We have a reputation for small, friendly, welcoming country, well located in Europe, and a highly coordinated university sector. So our modern research facilities in Ireland, you look at some of the pictures I'll show you on the PowerPoint presentations, our universities are quite old, but it's a mix of old and new buildings, and this gives you an example here. So 1.2 billion investment in university research infrastructure since 2000, and there are world-class facilities available. So what are the advantages of coming to study in Ireland? Obviously relevant courses, excellent career prospects, modern facilities, inspirational research, global recognition, generous scholarships, which I'll touch on later, the industry partnerships that are available, and innovative teaching. So where can I study in Ireland? So we have the education sector in Ireland is divided into 4 distinct categories: universities, National University of Ireland colleges, institutes of technology, and private higher education universities. You can see on the map that obviously it also includes Northern Ireland, which I won't be discussing about this evening, but there are 2 universities in Northern Ireland, Queen's University of Belfast and the University of Ulster. So Ireland we have seven universities, state supported but largely autonomous universities. In addition to the 4 NUI universities, there's also a 5th one, the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, which also offers PhD projects in medicine associated fields. There are 4 institutes of technology. They're in the orange button, they're scattered right throughout Ireland. They focus mainly on technological craft and apprentice programs. They do offer PhDs, but most of the students attending those 3rd level institutes are undergrads. And just as a PhD student, it's worth bearing in mind that universities tend to undertake the majority of Ireland's research activity and receive high levels of funding as a result. Each Irish university conducts its own examinations and grants its own award, which are recognised by the state. With the exception of Dublin Institute of Technology, institutes of technology have their PhD degrees validated under the remit of Quality and Qualifications Ireland. So where can you study? So you can, I'm not going to go through them in detail. My alma mater, where I studied my PhD in history, is University College Cork, which I have a very soft spot for. But those of you that are familiar with the geography of Ireland, you'll notice that the National University of Ireland Maynooth is not in Dublin, but for all intents and purposes, the Dublin city transport goes out as far as Maynooth, so I've included it under Dublin. So PhD enrollments in 2018-2019. So you can see from what I've said in my previous slide that most PhD studies take place in 4 universities, and those universities are University College Dublin, Trinity College Dublin, National University of Ireland Galway, and University College Cork. You can see in comparison to the Institutes of Technology, for example, there were 4 people studying a PhD in Tralee, 5 in Letterkenny, which is in County Donegal. So the types of PhD, there's a standard PhD. Showing my age, I can confess when I was in college, standard PhDs were in the humanities was all that was there. So that was what I did, in-depth research on a topic and an original contribution to knowledge leading to a thesis and a viva voce. And now we have structural PhDs, which are for those in which are those in the science and other business areas, and I've outlined there on the presentation what they are. So PhD length. The average length of a PhD in Ireland is usually completed in 3 to 4 years. For more structured programs, it's the latter 4 years. Just to state that the academic year, unlike Australia, starts early in September and ends when the new semester, when the new year begins, typically in August. Semesters run from September, December, and January to April, with holidays over Christmas and the Easter periods. How to apply? For all non-EU applicants applying for a postgraduate course at one of the Irish higher education institutions, please apply to the Postgraduate Application Centre website. For any courses that are not listed on that website, please contact the relevant college directly. And just to note on closing dates, they vary depending on the course and institution, and they can be very strict on closing dates, so refer carefully to information on your chosen programme for more detail. And this just as an aside that a student's registered status, be it EU or non-EU, cannot be changed during a programme for which they have registered, and full-time in the EU does not by itself give students the status of residency. So our fees in Ireland. Fees for PhD study in Ireland are set by individual higher education students. They vary from course to course depending on university, your mode of study, your subject area. It's slightly higher for science, technology, engineering PhDs compared to arts and humanities, and significantly higher for subjects like business or medicine. Admission requirements, in most cases a master's degree is required, or those that don't have a master's may, applying directly to their university, be granted entry depending on their experience. They're dealt with on a case-by-case basis, and then many foreign qualifications are recognised in Ireland, and I've referenced this website earlier on, Quality and Qualifications Ireland. So PhD funding. So there's quite a number of sources of PhD funding available, the Irish, and which I'll discuss in greater detail. The Irish Research Council, the Government of Ireland Postgrad Scholarship Programme, then we have employment-based postgrad programmes, Enterprise Ireland, and the universities themselves have funding. The Institutes of Technology have an Ireland Homecoming programme, which supports descendants of Irish nationals to pursue higher education. Then we have the Arts Council and the Walsh Fellowships provide funding for students in agriculture and food development. So in detail, looking at Science Foundation Ireland, so provides grants from researchers from around the world who wish to relocate to Ireland. That's on their website today in advance of the presentation this evening. I had a look, and there are two of the PhDs that they were advertising on their website. And why would you do it? Because they've received 70 million euro in annual funding. The list of organisations there and the focus of research is outlined on the presentation. And then you can see what they get: 20 million annual funding, 700 PhDs over 5 years, and there's the focus areas. So other funding available from the Irish Research Council. So they get 34 million annual funding, 1,500 researchers funded, and the focus of research is societal, cultural or economic challenges. And then I'll go a little bit more detail in that. The Government of Ireland Postgraduate Scholarship Programme is open to everybody. It gives a stipend instead of €16,000 per annum, and then contribution to fees and direct research expenses and how to apply. For those that might be interested in considering doing a PhD in Ireland, you'll see that the closing date is not until the 29th of October, so you still have time if you're interested. And I'm moving on now to postdoctoral opportunities in Ireland. Again, the Government of Ireland offers postdoctoral fellowship programme funding. That salary is significantly higher. You can see €31,000 per annum, and then the other contributions the government will make. You must have graduated within the last 5 years. And then referring to a specific fellowship that's available on offer is a social enterprise impact fellowship. That call is still open. The deadline is later than that. Is later than the previous one. Is the 19th of November. And you can also, if you're interested in this, applying for this fellowship, you could also be considered for Government of Ireland postdoctoral fellowship. In my work in the embassy, I'm also responsible for visas and for granting visas to visa required nationals to enter Ireland. Only this week I approved the visa of visa required national for a postdoc fellowship in Ireland, a 2-year postdoc with a Dublin university, and the person starting salary is €55,000 a year, a very good salary for Irish standards. So again, I just went on when the 2 websites listed below on this today and to have a look and see what jobs are currently on offer, and you can give you an idea there of the breadth of opportunities available for research, for postdoc researchers in Ireland. So entering Ireland. The immigration process. So Australian passport holders do not require visas to enter Ireland, but you must satisfy our immigration control as the purpose of your visit. So this information is available on the Immigration Service Deliveries website, and you must enrol in your course of study, and you must bring all relevant documentation with you when you arrive at border control to show the immigration official that why you're coming to Ireland. You must register. So once you arrive in Ireland, you must register for an Irish residency permit within 90 days of arrival, and those that are studying in Dublin must register with Immigration Service Delivery. And outside Dublin, it's with your nearest Garda National Immigration Bureau. All non-EU, EAA and Swiss nationals are required to have private medical health insurance as part of your course of study, and employment rights. While you're in college in Ireland, you're entitled to work up to 20 hours a week in term time and in 40 hours per week in holiday times. So can I work in Ireland after my PhD? So non-EU, EAA and Swiss nationals are now able to apply for the 3rd level graduate scheme, which enables you to work in Ireland for 12 months from your PhD completion date. This can be renewed for a further 12 months if necessary. If you wish to stay on longer in Ireland, you'll have to apply for an employment permit, which is from Ireland's Department of Business, Enterprise and Innovation. So I'd like to thank my colleagues who have been of great assistance to me in preparation of this presentation, and hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions, as that I'm not an expert in this field, and if I can't answer them, I'm happy to contact colleagues back in Dublin who can assist. Thank you very much.
I think our audience have for sure got a lot of useful insights from both of you. So please join me in thanking our speakers for today. We are very optimistic that there will be an increased number of applications to both these countries for PhD and postdoc from the region in 2021. Last but not the least, as mentioned earlier, do keep an eye on our social media platforms to get notified of such informative webinars in the future. I think with that, we come to an end of today's session. Thank you very much, Dr. Szabó and Harriet, for joining us and giving us your valuable time. It was a pleasure having you. And thank you everyone who has joined us from different parts of the world. Signing off for today and wishing you a good week ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.